Oh, hello. Welcome to Gormoid, the channel where I cook my way through cookbooks I own and never use. Today, we're working with Start Here by Sohla El-Waylly, where we'll be making Za'atar Za'atar Manakeesh. Sorry. Um, Let me show you what the picture looks like. It has a full page spread, so that's ideally what we're going for. We'll see if we get there or not. But yeah, come along. So we're almost done with this cookbook. This chapter that we're on right now is bread. So I kind of wanted to pick the one that I was least familiar with, which happens to be this manakish. According to the cookbook, it's a Middle Eastern bread um, made with olive oil included in the flour and everything. And then this one is actually topped with a za'atar mix. So I think it's going to be interesting. It's something I've never had before. I didn't even know it existed before I bought this cookbook. Um, so yeah, let's get started. We're going to go ahead and measure out all the dry ingredients into our bowl. Uh, it's a bread, and it is a yeasted bread, so that means we're going to have to do some waiting in this one just to let things rise. But let's go ahead and get started. I guess I'll turn on the scale first, and then put on my measuring cup. Zero that out. Perfect. So we are going to start with a bread flour. But I have had this for a while. The only scary thing about this is some of my ingredients are probably a little older than they should be. I didn't have to buy anything for this, which is really exciting. I literally owned everything that goes into this recipe, which is also kind of another reason I picked it. But some of them might be slightly old. So if it doesn't work, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the recipe's fault. That definitely means it's probably user error. But we're going to get about 3 cups of bread flour in there. It's 360 grams. Our sugar. Everything else is a little smaller, which is nice. I found my measuring spoons, but I didn't find the whole set, so I guess it's time to buy new ones. They're also no longer labeled. Oh well. So you need a tablespoon of sugar. There's half. There's one. And then this is my teaspoon. I need 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Which, since I have my teaspoon, there we go. We're definitely measuring that real close, aren't we? And then here's my yeast, which admittedly is old, but that's okay. We're going to see if it works. We got the flour, the sugar, the yeast, and the salt. Okay. So how much yeast do I need? 2.25 teaspoons. Okay, so 1, 2, 1/4. Go us. And then we're going to give that a mix. It says to whisk it. And I know this recipe does have you hand kneading the dough. I don't feel like doing that right off the bat. I don't think I don't like to hand knead dough a lot of times, even though the recipe will call for it. So we're going to do it in the stand mixer. This is what we look like so far. We're going to go add some water, get some warm water, and we're going to add warm water to this. And with our cup of water, warm water, and we're going to go ahead and pour this in here. And then mix it with the spatula. Sorry, I keep having to glance down at the recipe because I really don't know what I'm doing. This one is, I already don't make bread a lot of times. And this is just a little out of my comfort zone. So there's just going to be a lot of referencing the recipe in this one. But we're going to go ahead, pour this in there, and then kind of mix it to where everything's wet, and then cover it with a damp paper or damp towel for 15 minutes. So let's get this in there. We're gonna, with our spatula, just kind of get everything nice and moist. and wet. And I don't know how, I don't really understand this part, but it's never in any sort of bread recipe I've made. But it looks like pretty much all the flour is moistened in this. So I'm gonna get this off, and then cover it with a damp paper towel. And by paper towel, I mean a damp towel. Here is my damp towel. Here to pop back in to say 2 minutes into a resting period, I realized I totally forgot the olive oil. So we're gonna add 75 grams of olive oil and then just recover it. Hey, these things happen. It is what it is. I'm not super worried about it. We definitely caught it in time, but it does make me chuckle because I was sitting here being like, boy, I don't know when this olive oil gets added in. Turns out it's now. It's right now. It's currently. It's not just with the coating. Oh boy. I kind of can't believe we did that, but at the same time, I think it's hilarious. Hey, it happens though, right? Like, there we go. We're just gonna pretend like we never did that. Dump that in there, give that a stir. We'll be fine. Like I said, I don't know. This is all new to me. I gotta say, that feels a lot better. That feels like the moisture we were missing before. Oh boy. Okay, let's get that covered. Timer just went off. So we have our dough. It looks like this. It smells like dough. I'm not sure this is 100% what it was supposed to look like just because of our olive oil mishap. But whatever. This gets kneaded for about 2 minutes until it's gonna become a dough. Like I said, I do not feel like kneading dough. Most of the time I don't need dough. It's partially why I have this bad boy here. So we're gonna go ahead and stray from the instructions. We're gonna keep this here. I'm gonna do just a quick knead and kind of squish it all together. So here you can see it's mostly in a ball. And we're going to cover this for 10 minutes. So this is what our dough looks like after another 10-minute rest. It definitely smells good. I think it's risen a little bit. It smells yeasty, which means my yeast must not be that old. But what we're going to do is this is going to get kneaded for another 6 to 10 minutes. 6 to 8 minutes. It does say knead by hand on a clean surface. Once again, we're not doing that. We're doing it in the KitchenAid. So we're going to get this going for 6 to 8 minutes. And then once we are done with that, this is going to sit for another hour. So I'll check in with you right before we cover it just to see if there's any changes. And then I'll see you an hour after that. Because I'm sitting it in here instead of just like on a counter or anything, I did kind of grease the inside of this just so it doesn't stick as it rises. But we're going to cover this and let this rest for about an hour. Hopefully it'll spring back. It springs back. You can see it kind of just springs back, which is what the recipe says. So we are, gonna wait about an hour for this, and I'll see you when that's finished. So it's been just an hour. We're gonna go ahead and see what our dough looks like. Okay. You can see, I mean, ours has really doubled in size. um, so go us. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually cut this into, or divide it into about 8 sections. Um, so let's just get this out of the bowl so it's a little easier to work with. There we go. Just plop that there. Move this to the side. So we have our dough. What we're going to do is we're going to divide it into 8 pieces. It says it's about 80 grams each. So I'm actually going to weigh some out just out of curiosity to see how big 80 grams is. So I've got a little piece of parchment paper here. We're going to put on the scale, and we actually have to zero it out. And I'm just going to rip apart a piece, roll it into a ball, and see where we land. Okay, so that was 77. So your balls are going to be right about this big. And then we just want to roll into a smooth ball. I don't know. That looks fine. And we'll do that 8 more times. Okay, so we have our 8 little balls. I'm going to recover them with a towel. And then we will see them in 10 minutes. So it's been 10 minutes. I guess we can see what they're doing. Okay. I'll bring them close, but they don't really look any different. They puffed up a little bit, and you can tell the ones that I did a better job rolling into a ball versus the ones I didn't. No, so we are baking 3 at a time. We are making a topping for this, so that's why I'm not putting the ones that I'm waiting for, like that I'm not going to use yet, in the fridge, just because I want to pour the topping on top. So hopefully that's good. I think it will be. But we're going to go ahead and roll these out. Now I do have this big sheet pan lined with parchment paper ready to go. So as soon as I roll one out, I'm just going to go ahead and transfer it onto here. And yeah, let's go ahead. We are going to roll this out on a lightly floured surface. So I'm just going to take my hand and lightly flour. And then I always like to have, like, I don't know about you guys, but I always like to have a pile in the back, just because your bread will always take up a little bit of flour as you roll it out. So this way I can kind of replenish as we need. What we're going to do is we're rolling these into 5 or 6 inch round circles. I'm using this rolling pin. You can use whatever rolling pin you want, but this one was actually made for me by my cousin. It's kind of like in a French style, but more it's a combination, from what I understand, between like a French and American rolling pin, where it tapers at the end with the French style, but because it's so thick throughout, it's more of an American one. I like it. It's my favorite rolling pin I own. I have another one. I don't take it out. I will wash this one by hand. I will do anything to use this one first. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm just going to try my best to roll this in a circle. It's working, I think, well. Now, I don't know how big off the top of my head 5 or 6 inches is. I guess I can make a guesstimate, but I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go put this on that parchment sheet, and I'll roll out the other 2. So I'll bring this closer so you guys can see. We have 3 sort of circular, sort of the same size pieces of dough. I tried my best. I guess I'm done with this. Oh, this is going to be a pain to clean. Anyways, I tried my best with the circles, But that's where they are. Um, and so, oh, I'm not done with the damn towel. I'm actually going to cover these with that damn towel and let these rest for 30 minutes. And then we can make the topping. So we've got just about 5 minutes left for our dough to rise a little bit more. But what I'm going to do in the meantime is actually make the za'atar mixture. Now, we used this in the previous recipe because it had sumac in it. But this is what I'm using. It's za'atar. It's a Mediterranean, Middle Eastern seasoning, I guess. Um, but we're gonna mix this with olive oil in this bowl. I don't know what's happening to me today. This one's really been a struggle to record, and I'm not really sure why. But we're gonna mix the za'atar, with some olive oil in a bowl, and that's what we're gonna put on these, and then bake them in the oven for 8-10 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead. This is all measured out in grams as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and measure it that way. But it really is a half cup of extra virgin olive oil and a half cup of the za'atar blend. I'm just using what I have. I don't know if that za'atar blend is gonna really be enough, but I didn't want to go buy more, so I'm not doing that. So I'm gonna zero this out. We're gonna pour 113 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Okay, that was too much. But I don't really care. But it was just above a half cup, so that 113 really is a half cup of olive oil. And then let's get the za'atar on here. I'm gonna zero that out again. And this is 100 grams. I am just going to, well, I guess I'm just gonna do it this way. That was 74 grams. Let's see, it's just under, I mean, I obviously haven't measured it great, but it's probably just under a half cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in there. And make sure with my spoon to scoop out all of it. I gotta say, I do love za'atar. I think I think it smells really good. It's like it's just super herby, and I don't know. It's hard to describe because I don't really know what's in it, but it smells really good. So our 30 minutes is up. Take this towel and throw it over here. Okay, so here's our bread roll doughs. They look good. They've puffed up a little bit. Let me see. So here's what they look like. They've puffed up. You can see they've puffed up a little bit, but they've kept their shape for the most part. I'm just going to go ahead and spread. Now you are supposed to divide this among them. So here's what they look like. We're going to get these in the oven for 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll see you then. Here it is, our finished product. Oh, almost lost on the plate. Our finished product, a Za'atar Manakeesh. Let's go ahead and give this a try. It's pretty good. I think maybe I baked mine slightly too long. I went more for 12 minutes. I probably could have done for 10, but I lost track of time watching TikToks. I put the timer on and then turned it off, thinking I can time 2 more minutes. No, I can't. I do like it. It's good. It's got a nice crunch to it. I don't know if you can hear the like the outside, the edge is nice and crispy. Um, the za'atar is a lot more aromatic than it tastes to me, but that's okay. I think I had to take a second bite. Clearly, I like it. I can't describe the taste to you because I've never had anything like this. Um, like I said, it's like you can taste the olive oil, you can taste the za'atar, but not as much as you would think. The cookbook says that the author Sohla El-Waylly grew up kind of like eating it after school, and dipping it in a sauce. I think that's perfect. I think you could make this and then use it almost like a dipping bread. Um, or kind of what I'm thinking I might do is put a little cheese on top and like kind of make it a little pizza. Um, I like that. I think it's solid. I think I'm probably like an 8 out of 10, 7.5, 8 out of 10, somewhere in there. I think what took it so long was just the amount of proofing and like resting the dough has to do. But that's literally every bread recipe I've ever made takes time to proof and do all of that. So I'm trying not to really ding it for that. I think it smells better than what I'm tasting, which might be user error. It might be my Za'atar blend. I don't know, but it is what I had. Like I said, I chose this recipe because I didn't have to buy anything for it, which I think was really nice. But I liked it, and I am looking forward to having fresh bread throughout the week. I think it's going to be fun, and I think it can make my dinners a little more interesting. Um, yeah, overall, no complaints. I think it's really solid. I thought it was easy to put together, even though I messed it up. It seemed to have, I was able to correct it. So yeah, I like this one. Is it my favorite? No. Would I make it again? I don't know. Just because I don't really make bread, probably not. But that doesn't mean anything about the recipe. So I'm going to take this. Probably going to find a little bit of a dipping sauce to dip this in. And I will see you guys later. Bye.